I rise today on February 1st, the first day that we celebrate Black History Month, to acknowledge and commemorate what would have been the 105th birthday of a leader among women, among the African American community, among all Americans, Miss Rosa Parks. As many of you know the abbreviated story, she was a Black woman riding a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, tired from her day at work. But it wasn't due to her job as a seamstress that she was tired. She was tired of being tired. When the bus driver told her to give up her seat for a white passenger, Mrs. Parks refused in quiet civil disobedience. She refused, but this was far from the quiet act of a tired woman. This was a deliberate act of protest against the racist, segregation, Jim Crow policies of our country at that time. She'd been an activist all her life and knew exactly what she was doing on that historic day by refusing to give up her seat. In fact, she was a leader in her local NAACP chapter, and the chapter had planned her act of civil disobedience for months. They had also worked strategically, quietly, to find the best person to stand in defiance of the Jim Crow policies of the South. Because years prior to the Rosa Parks incident, another young woman had had a very similar incident on a bus in Montgomery. She was, however, only 15, a young mother, and it was assumed that she wouldn't be the best possible candidate to lead what would then become a national movement. Because as you know, Mrs. Parks' arrest sparked a 380-day-long boycott of the Montgomery buses, which helped transform the overall dialogue nationwide around racial segregation. It also led to an immense amount of backlash to Mrs. Parks and her family. She lost her job, her husband lost his job, they received countless death threats, and she and her husband Raymond fell deep into poverty. Nevertheless, she persisted. She continued her work as a freedom fighter, lending her political activism and story of defiance to the greater struggle for civil and human rights. I think it's fitting on this anniversary of her birth that we highlight this work of a woman, a Black woman, who wasn't an elected official. She didn't lead a large congregation. But 6 decades ago, she led the fight, initiated the fight, a very similar fight that we're engaged in today when we work for equality for all. Colleagues, I ask that you join with me in voting aye for Senate Resolution 78 as we acknowledge this important figure in American history. I ask for an aye vote.